All right, class. Hope you are all doing well. I know that I'm doing my best to stay sane here at home. You may notice some roosters crowing in the background. Some people have children running around their house while they're trying to work. I have chickens crowing in my yard. Better outside than in because of the dog. So here we are. Today, we're going to talk about something called the semiotic method. Okay? And the semiotic method is a method of analyzing both literature and, in this case, film that breaks it down to a very simple formulaic equation. Now, you will remember for the second essay, I gave you all a formula for the thesis and topics in its claims. That formula was problem, solution, so what. Okay, so the semiotic method works very similarly. It has a formula for thesis and topics in its claims. This formula is known as the three S's. They are sign, significance, and so what. Okay, so the first S is sign, and that is anything, any textual phenomena which implies meaning. So this could be an object, it could be a character, it could be a pattern of images, it could be a style of language. Anything that you can point to within a text can be a sign. And most signs, especially in fiction, because fiction is a creation of fantasy in a way, then everything in that book is there for a reason. The author selected it, chose it, and stuck it in there. So signs are anything that you can point to within a text. Okay. This brings us to significance. What does the thing mean? Okay. So how does it function within the text? Also, is another question you want to ask. So if we were to look, well, I'll get to that. So then we got to get to so what. Okay. This is the last one. Now, so what you guys had some experience with the second essay. So what is, why does it matter? Why should we care? Why should we as scholars, as academics, as people who are invested in learning, why should we care about this particular thing that you have found and the significance that you have identified for it? So the so what is usually made by establishing some kind of context. Now, I've been looking at some of the discussions, those of you who have done them in 1101, and some of the discussion boards for this, you guys are getting the sign and significance, but you're kind of struggling with the so what. The secret to the so what in terms of literary analysis is context. What is the context of the piece that you're working with? In the case of The Godfather, which was the piece for the discussion, the context was the mafia, right? The mafia, organized crime. And many of you were pointing out that Michael Corleone was somehow giving off a separate image from what he really was, and that there was a sort of a refined image on the outside and a really cruel and corrupt evil image on the inside. And you guys pointed that out, but you didn't quite get to the so what in terms of the context. What is that saying about organized crime? Are they able to operate in normal society without being noticed because they're organized? That might be something to think about. Also, the religious imagery. How does that particular scene deal with religious imagery, right? So that's what we're talking about when we get to the so what. What is the context, right? And so think about that. If you don't know the context, you could do some research. You could look it up, right? Okay. So green eggs and ham. This is our sign for discussion. You all know green eggs and ham, Sam I am. So that's our sign. Now you may say, that's a kid's book. What are you talking about? Bear with me here for a second. The sign is green eggs and ham. What does that mean? Now, other than being a funny thing to base a children's text around, we can look at the green eggs and ham and say, well, eggs and ham isn't that weird, but green eggs and ham? Very strange, right? So this brings us to the significance. The significance is that it represents openness to new and unusual experiences, okay? Which it does. Would you like green eggs and ham? No, I wouldn't. And then, of course, it goes on, would you eat them in a box? Would you eat them in a box? All these different new experiences that the author is resistant to, right? That's what the green eggs and ham represent. So now we have the significance. Okay, so the green eggs and ham represent the willingness to try new things, or openness in general. What does that mean? Why should we care? This brings us to the so what factor, okay? So the so what factor, it needs context. So our context here is that this is an educational text for children that is intended to teach and instill good behaviors. Okay? So if we know that this is for children, then what is the point of green eggs and ham? Well, the so what would be, it encourages a desirable level of open-mindedness in young readers. Okay, so it actually helps the children to understand the benefit of new experiences. So there you have it. Science significance, so what? We figured it out. That's basically what you're doing. Now, how did we get to the so what? We asked about the context. The context of Green Eggs and Ham, the context of Dr. Seuss is children's book, but not only that, children's books that are meant to instill morals or mores, right? So that's how we did it. Now, when you're doing film, you guys will be analyzing film. I sent out the essay prompt today. It's on Blackboard. You can check it out yourself. When you're doing film, you must make sure that you consider both the technical and the literary elements of the film when you interpret the film. So what do I mean by the technical and the literary elements? I mean, the technical elements would be the lighting, the sound, the score, the editing, how it's shot, what angles, the camera angles, all these different things that films have that literature really doesn't. Those are the technical elements of film, and that's what makes film actually almost a little more fun to analyze, but it can be very difficult as well. Be careful with the technical elements because they're kind of tough to deal with, especially in essay form. But you definitely want to make note of them because they're part of the film's composition, and it's very important to understand it if you're going to understand the film. The literary elements of the film are basically anything that works like literature. Those are the characters, that's the plot, that's the any themes that you see, any recurring images, recurring patterns, objects, props, people, whatever you can find in there that you can use to derive meaning from, it's on the table, and it's up to you, okay? So films are also texts. They can be analyzed just the same way you can analyze a book, and you should look for signs in the film. And in order to do this, you need to watch these films probably multiple times. Okay, I know that's going to be tough. A lot of you guys got a lot going on. 2 times at least, but 3 is desirable, right? So the first one is the preliminary reading. That's where you're basically going to watch it once over just to get it in your head. The second one is the close or note-taking reading, and that's where you're going to be watching it again. And this time you're not just taking it in, you're paying close attention to what's going on. And you're making notes of things as you see them, right? And the third one is the interpretive viewing phase, and that's where you watch it again with your notes in front of you, and you start to try to figure out, well, what does this mean? What does it all mean? You might want to look up some context of the film that you're dealing with. When was it made? What sort of environment did it come out of? What themes is it dealing with, and how do they relate to the society at large? These are questions that you want to ask yourself when you're doing the interpretation, and they will also help you get to the so what, okay? So that does it for the basic semiotics video. Hopefully that will clear some things up for you. If it did not, doing my best here, people. You can email me at any time, brian.murphy@westcatech.edu. You can also use the Blackboard messaging system. I am checking it a little more readily now, although it is 7 inboxes. I have 7 classes, 7 inboxes, and I can't see them from a mobile device. So the email is always the best way to get in contact with me, even though they don't want me to tell you that. It's the truth. So if you would please keep in touch, make sure that I am talking to you and that you're talking to me. And I am also looking into collaborate sessions. I know that some of you are already using this with your other teachers. I've not had the training for any of that stuff. I guess it's probably pretty easy, but I still need to talk to the IT people and figure it out. So I have an appointment with them tomorrow morning. I'm going to call. They're going to explain to me how to do the collaborate. We may do collaborate sessions if I feel it is necessary, and I feel I need to reach out to you and make like face-to-face contact. So keep an eye on that. The schedule was sent out yesterday for all of the remaining assignments. The essay 3 was posted, and that should cover everything for now. Please let me know if you need anything. Stay safe out there. See you later.